All right, Battletech fans, I've had this video in the pipe for quite some time, so put on your neuro helmet, strap yourself into your mech, and grab the sticks, because it's time for Battletalk. All right, Battletech fans, welcome to the very first edition of Trying Your Luck with Tuck. I'm your host, Mr. Tuck, from the internet. Yes, that's right, from the internet. And in this video, we're going to talk about the concept of average expected damage and how you can use it as a tool to analyze whether or not a mech is something that you want to field and whether or not it will do well for you in the long run. Now, this is a concept I talk about a lot with friends when they show me things and ask me what I think about this or that, and I say, that's all right, or And what wound up happening is on Twitter the other day, somebody had actually come up with a question about why is the Rakshasa always so universally derided? Why is it seen as so bad? And I started in with that concept. Well, you see, it's got a couple of large laser cannons, it's got some other, mediums, it's got 2 LRM-10s. The average expected damage on an LRM-10 is 6, so it's not all that great. And we started talking about that, and I said, okay, I want to make a video where we talk about average expected damage, and hopefully sometime in the future, this can be a tool you can use to help you figure out what a good force composition looks like. So let's get into it. So the concept of average expected damage deals with cluster weapons. So we're talking LRMs, we're talking SRMs, ATMs, LBX autocannons, things like that. Anything that spreads damage over a large amount of space and is doing so in the cluster hits table. That's what you're going to be looking at. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull up the old battle computer, and I'm going to switch this guy on here. So all right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to pull up the cluster hits table, but I'm going to go ahead and eliminate everything that isn't an LRM-10 for the sake of this discussion because I'm analyzing the Rakshasa, like I said when I first started. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and exclude everything that is above or below the average, because if you look at the 10 column on the cluster hits table, you see that 6 is the most often repeated number here. So you've got 5, 6, 7, 8 is all 6s. Everything else is different numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and delete all of that stuff. And we're just going to talk about the average here because it's what's the most oft-repeating number. And that's what you'll be looking at for all of the other tables whenever you're trying to analyze average expected damage, is look for the number that is most often repeated. So let's look at the 10 column again. The most commonly rolled number on a pair of 2d6 is going to be the number 7. I don't know if that's a commonly known fact or not, but because I used to play craps all the time in Vegas, it's just a number that I happen to know off the top of my head. It's the most repeating number of combinations that you can get. Now you can get 8, and there's several different ways. You can get 8 with 5-3, 3-5, 4-4, 6-2, 2-6, that kind of thing. Let's see what else you got here. 6, you've got 4-2, 2-4, 3-3, 5-1. There's a lot of different ways to repeat these numbers, is the point I'm trying to make here. When you look at numbers like 2, for example, you can only roll that one way. Or you look at numbers like 3, for example, you can only roll that 1 and a 2, or 2 and a 1. Stuff like that. When you look at things like 12, for example, you're only going to be rolling boxcars on that. 11 is the same number. You're going to be looking at 5 and 6. And that's the only ways you can roll these. So these most commonly rolled numbers are what's going to be what you can look at and call your average expected damage. So when it comes to why is the Rakshasa bad? The Rakshasa is typically seen as bad because when you look at these things in conjunction with average expected damage, you see what weapons it has on it. Let's pull that up here. It's got a couple of large lasers on it. It's got some medium laser action. It's got a couple of LRM-10s. Now, we just analyzed that. We already know that the LRM-10's average expected damage is 6. So let's just say you fire everything, right? Okay. Let's say you also get lucky and you hit with everything. So you've tagged them with a couple of large, couple of mediums, and your average expected damage on these LRM-10s is 6. And you're not looking at a whole heck of a lot of damage here. And I'm not even comparing it to things like the Mad Cat. That would be an unfair comparison. I'm comparing it to other things in its weight class that would also be seen on the battlefield. You're talking things like the Dragonfire, other things that are within its weight class in the time era that it would most likely be serving, and you put it up against these things and you're most likely going to have a better outcome with the other thing than you're going to have with this, because the average expected damage is so low on those LRM-10s. So this is the concept of average expected damage. So when you're trying to analyze how much damage something can throw, if, as the Ultimate Warrior used to say, all the planets were in alignment, then you can look at, here's the amount of damage my energy weapons do, or my slug throwing weapons do. Here's the amount of average expected damage I can get out of these cluster weapons that I have on board the mech. And then you can add all of that up and tally it up and figure out how much damage you could throw on a good day, and then compare it with something else that you're also thinking of taking. So average expected damage is a really cool force analysis tool. It's something that I like to use, and it's something that I have memorized off the top of my head. So when you're looking at things, you can just say, oh, well, that's got an LRM-20 on it. What's the average expected damage of an LRM-20? 12. Or that thing's got an LRM-10 on it. We already know that's 6. Or it's got a HAG-40. What's the average expected damage of a HAG-40? 24. So it's just something that I've memorized off the top of my head. And you'll do a whole heck of a lot better when you are able to come up with these numbers off the top of your head. But in the meantime, until you get your muscle memory going on and you just know these things like the back of your hand, check out the average expected damage when you're looking at things that throw cluster damage and see whether or not it works for you. Now, in this particular video, I've also got an unboxing of the Wolf's Dragoons Command Star coming at you. This is going to be a double whammy, folks, so stay tuned. We'll see you out of the space lanes for round number 2 on Battlebound. All right, Battletech fans, welcome back for round number 2 here on Battlebound, and this time I have the Wolf's Dragoons Assault Star Force Pack in my hand, ready to unbox and review that for you. We were supposed to get this around the middle of next month, but it appears as though Christmas came early for us Battletech fans this year, so I've got our old pal Mr. Stabby here, and we're going to cut this guy open and see what we can't find out. So let's get into it. All right, straight out of the box, it's already looking pretty sweet. Let's have a look-see here. We got ourselves the Annihilator, of course. We got the Archer there. Looks like we have an updated Blackjack. Another Timberwolf. One can never have too many Timberwolves. Let's just be honest with ourselves here. And we've got ourselves a Rifleman. Looks like a different pose than last time. And this guy comes with, it looks like, some Alpha Strike cards here. And some Pilot cards here in the back. So we'll be taking a dutiful look at those here very shortly. But let's pull out that Annihilator, shall we? Alright, here's the Annihilator, folks. Man, that is looking pretty sweet. I love that barrel chest it's got on it there. The LB-10X autocannons on the side. Man, they have spared no expense on this stuff. I tell you, the detail here is fantastic. Especially those back ends there, the vents and the little neck piece there. Man, they have done the Annihilator some justice, it looks like. Now, this piece I'm actually looking very forward to. It's the Blackjack, and it almost looks like it's the updated BJ2 Blackjack, so the Omni-Mech version. So let's have a look at that. Alright, I can definitely see some what looks like LRMs there. And see that little torso connector piece right there in the middle? That's what makes me think this is an Omni-Mech, because the updated Blackjack has that. It almost looks like it's got a little life preserver in between the legs and the torso there to spin around on. Taking a little walking pose with the arms in a different orientation. I love it. I love it. And the detail on the back of that guy looks so sweet. Let's get the top here. We even got the little discs. How about that? And if you're not sure of the efficacy of the BJ2 Blackjack, folks, just take a look at Season 2, Episode 1, which I'll stick up here on the screen for you, where Ray Garner of Garner's Games gave us an absolute pounding, and one of the mechs that he used to great success in that battle was the BJ2 Zero Blackjack. Daka Daka, squared all day. Check it out. Alright, let's bust out the Rifleman. Now, I believe the other rifleman just had static arms pointing in one direction, so this looks like a little bit of a departure from that, which is always a good thing. A little variation there. You could see this being Gentleman Johnny Clavel's mech. Seeing as how it's from the Wolf's Dragoons Assault Star, it seems to make sense. Very nice. Now we've got ourselves the Archer. Love the detail on the inside of those missile racks. I'm sure I'll figure out what variants these are when I check out these Alpha Strike cards here in just a minute, but we all know it's the miniatures that come first, isn't it, folks? Here's the top, looking good, very sweet. Love that cockpit area. Very nice. And last, but certainly not least, the Mad Cat, folks. The new Mad Cat from this box. Looking pretty clean. Looking pretty clean. I like the pose it's in there, the guns. Very nice on the top there. Very nice detail there. Alright, now that we've got those miniatures out of the way, folks, let's get these cards and see what these guys have in store for us, shall we? Alright, on the top here, we've got ourselves an Annihilator Alpha Strike card. On the back, we've got a different one. So you get the 5W Annihilator here and the 2A Annihilator. Ooh, golly, man, that medium range damage. And at short range, oof, golly gee. Got ourselves Mad Cat Prime. Can't go wrong with it. Flip it to Timberwolf T774 with an overheat value of 2. Ugh. Send you to the emergency room. RFL 3N, so this could very well be Gentleman Johnny's, if I so desired for it to be, looks like. Flip it over. Got ourselves a C3 Rifleman. Huh. Okay. We have our ARC 2W Archer. Very nice. And a C2. And the BJ2 Blackjack. So it looks like I was correct in that assumption there. Oops. And Blackjack C, it says. I wonder if that stands for clan. What would it be in Alpha Strike and all? And then we got some pilot cards here. Always cool. I'll be very interested to take a look at what some of these pilot abilities are. Ooh, Davis McCall in his Rifleman there from the Grey Death Legion versus Black Widow Company. Didn't walk out of that one alive, but you know, hey. Oh, there's Mr. Wolf, of course. Arthur Blankenship, or Blakenship, it looks like. I wonder if the other side of that Rifleman... Nope, I was hoping it'd be Johnny Clavel, but Wasim Naifeh. It's on the back. Here's another Rifleman. Tatiana K. Duval. Oh, Johnny Clavel! There it is, baby! All right, Gentleman Johnny got some representation up in her. Very nice. Very nice. Well, folks, this has been a review of the Wolf's Dragoons Assault Star Pack. I gotta say, busting out that Gentleman Johnny right there at the end, that popped me good. This is a 10 out of 10. Home run, man, and I'm sure excited to see retailers, brick and mortar stores like Barnes & Noble, mass retailers, you know, nationwide chains carrying this stuff. And as I said on the round table we did not too long ago, which I'll put up here on the screen for you. It's not that side, I think it's this side. But we were talking about that, having these things showing up in these stores and how big it is for Battletech. We might be seeing things like this in stores like Walmart, and stores like Target, big box stores like that. That to me, would be a big victory. But in the meantime, we've got this stuff at Barnes & Noble, and I did some digging yesterday on my own time, drove around to a couple of the different Barnes & Noble locations here in my hometown, and they both had these force packs on the shelf right now. So you don't have to go wait for those exclusive Barnes & Noble sales on the internet or anything like that. You can pick this up at a brick and mortar Barnes & Noble today as long as they're in stock. So give them a call, see whether or not they've got it for you. However, that's the end of our show. It's been a double whammy this time, folks. I sure hope you've enjoyed it. I'm Tuckdavian. We'll see you next time out on the space lanes on Battlebound.
Your ideas are intriguing to me, and I wish to subscribe to your newsletter.
Crowdfunding is when lots of people give you small amounts of money to help your passion project come to life.